As holidaymakers jet off to sunnier destinations, those with South African passports could face a turbulent time. For some flying with Ryanair, they're presented with this form, asking general knowledge questions about South Africa and only available in Afrikaans. Dinesh Joseph was on holiday in Lanzarote. Despite having up-to-date documentation, he was presented with the questionnaire at the airport and had to complete it before being allowed to fly back home to the UK.
It's quite triggering. Afrikaans and South Africa and being a person of colour, there's a whole lot of associations with that, right? And all of a sudden you do feel kind of isolated. You feel excluded. You know, there's a sense of prejudice that kind of rises up inside. But I think also there's that sense of anxiety. I was like, mate, help me understand, how does a general knowledge test in a foreign language that I can't speak help prove to you that I'm South African? And he's like, not my rules, not my rules. But if you don't fill it in and you don't pass it, you're not getting on the plane.
Ryanair says people are selected by procedural security profiling, but many are deeply unhappy with what they see as discrimination. I asked Ryanair why the questions are in Afrikaans rather than, say, Zulu, which is more widely spoken. I asked how long the policy is going to be in place, whether the questions are going to change, whether people of colour are being given the questionnaire more often than white travellers. They declined to answer those questions or make anyone available for interview, instead issuing a statement saying their policy is because of the high prevalence of fraudulent South African passports. The UK Home Office, in charge of passports and travel requirements, was equally evasive. It declined to comment on whether the UK is officially concerned about fraudulent South African documents. It also didn't comment on whether Ryanair were right to forbid travel for those unwilling or unable to complete the questionnaire. What they did was reiterate tweets sent out by the UK High Commission in South Africa saying that this is not a UK government requirement. Dinesh managed to complete the form by using a translation app on his phone, which also meant he could have just looked up the answers. He says he'll never fly with Ryanair again and is still baffled by the experience.
How on earth does a general knowledge test in Afrikaans about South Africa link to the verification of my travel documents? You know, if you want to look at ID, ask me for my British residence card, look at my bank statements, proof of address, let me look at your South African identification card, let me look at the watermark in your passport.
Numerous other South African travellers say they've gone through the same experience. But despite growing anger, Ryanair's position remains unchanged and the questionnaire remains. John Beaver, SABC News, Bristol.